Welcome to the Prop Room. This is a podcast about the art department, all of the positions in it and the people who hold those positions. We're hoping it's going to be a way to discover what the art department is and what it does and who does it. If you don't know me, my name's Ben Hopwood. I'm a prop master for high-end TV, HETV and film. I started off my life as a runner and an assistant director. I worked on some TV shows like Gavin and Stacey and the lesser known Fur TV. I was then plucked from obscurity on a TV show called Modern Toss, which was directed by the now very famous Ben Wheatley, and moved from the assistant director's department into the art department purely by accident. And I've been there ever since. So I've probably been there now for about 15 years. And I've worked my way up from art junior to art assistant to set dresser, charge hand dresser, assistant storeman, assistant prop master, and now prop master. So I've kind of, and I've done a little bit of standby as well, not a lot, but a little bit. So I've kind of worked my way through the department and met loads of really interesting people along the way. And then we've had this idea to have a podcast which might meet a few of those people, and we can start to understand the big secret in the film and TV world, which is the art department. So next to me here is my co-host Lee, who's going to be with us through this journey of the art department. Lee.
Hello, my name's Lee Newell. I started out in the film industry about 15 years ago. My automotive background got me a position through one of my clients working in action vehicles, which was an incredibly exciting opportunity to get into film, albeit it was sort of behind the camera. But I kind of wanted to be in front of the camera a bit. So I joined a casting agency, the Casting Collective, who very promptly got me quite a lot of extra work. And from then on, I managed to get into the front of the camera, but also on set. And that was the important bit, because when you're on set, I was around every single department. And it was from there that I went on to do some body doubling, having met a few heads of department. And then from there, I went into props, and that's where I met yourself. And we've now been together for 3 years, coming up to 4 years, I think.
Probably.
Yeah. And now I've found my groove. So all of the skills that I've learned up until this point are now nicely placed in the prop department, where I can be creative and have a real impact in what I do on screen. And hopefully many more years to continue. But for me personally, I found it quite difficult getting into the industry. I didn't quite know who to approach, didn't quite know what avenues to take. The casting agency was a great way to get in and get onto set. But I think if you have come from maybe a university background, you might not necessarily want to do that straight away, because what you studied, will lead into maybe production or, the art department. And it's, I think this is why this podcast is quite good, because we can have guests on that can answer those questions, which brings us nicely on to our guest for today,
who is a young lady called Andrea Guerrero.
Hi.
You're many things to me.
Yeah.
One of them is a set dresser, and another one of them is a prop department coordinator, mm-hmm. which is something else. And then you're currently pursuing a role as a standby art director. Mm-hmm. So there's 3 different roles there. So I guess we should start with life when you were younger, right?
Yeah, because where were you born?
I'm from Chile, and I was born in Santiago, in the capital of Chile.
Okay, so tell us a bit about that, your education in your home country, and, was it predominantly film? Did you know you wanted to be into film when you were younger? Or?
I wasn't sure. I really liked films in general, and I always wanted to, I thought it was like a dream to be in a credit of a film. I remember that much. And
were these like English films, or were they?
Yeah, like international films, because
Okay.
mostly the industry back home is super small.
Okay.
So you usually have like telenovelas or more like soap opera kind of things. And that did not interest me. I wanted to be like in bigger things that you could go to the cinema to watch.
Yeah.
And so I went the opposite way to you, where I started doing more acting. I went into theatre first. That's how it started.
And like a local theatre, you approached them, or?
No, in my school, I was in like the theatre group kind of in my school. And
secondary
while
school.
While I was doing many other things, because I wanted to travel, and I wanted to be a doctor at one point, and I wanted to be like many things. But acting definitely was kind of a good way, a good way to explore that. And I think that like performance and art in general, it kind of like gave me a little bit of a path.
Yeah.
And then when I was leaving school,
that would be at about 60. Would that be about 60?
No, like at 18.
18.
Yeah, like 17.
17.
To go to university.
Yeah.
I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, and I sneaked into like auditions to go into theatre, and then I went into that. And so that's how it started, kind of this path.
Okay.
And then when I was in my last year of uni, there were auditions to come to London.
Okay.
And to do like a master's of many different like courses, and I was interested in all of them, but then I chose one that I really wanted to do to audition, and that was screen acting, like acting for screen.
Yeah.
Because it was something that it was so small back home. You have like film courses, but they're really, really like tiny. It was like really incipient, so not something that you would go into really. And so I came to London, and I did acting for screen for a year, and we did a lot of short films, and you could volunteer to be behind the screen helping out in your like classmates shorts or whatever. And I volunteered into every single one. And then I started like doing other things that I was like, oh, that I like this as well as being on screen. Even when I was doing theatre, I did a lot of like technical things.
Yeah.
When we were doing like projects with my friends, I was doing like lights, or I was doing the sounds. So I was behind the creative process a lot, because it's something that I really, really like, to like be part of a creative collective.
I think you hear that a lot, don't you, from actors, that they they do get involved and find it interesting, all of that stuff that comes with it. And you hear stories about them all wanting to help out, or all helping out on stuff because they're interested in the craft,
in the process.
And especially, and it's a bit different back home, because the everything's so small, and everything's like with like such low budget that you end up doing everything anyway.
I would totally like to go to Chile.
You do a play, but you're the designer, and you do the like light design, and
you're in it as well.
You're doing the play, so you end up learning like a huge skill set. That then you.
And it makes you appreciate the other departments as well.
Totally.
Like if you work in this department, how does it affect that department?
And it kind of makes you feel like you can do everything. So like you're like, oh yeah, I'll do this. I'll give this a try.
Yeah.
And so when I came here, it was so different, because everything's so specialized. You have like the actors are just acting, and the people that are doing the design are just that. And like I was so interested in how all of those pieces kind of work together, because you realize how important every single person is to actually like creating something.
But you did study at university back home?
Yes.
And what
theatre?
Theatre.
I did theatre.
Theatre.
Yeah.
And that would be the equivalent of like a 3-year degree in theatre production and all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm. And then here I did 1 year of acting for screen.
Acting for screen. And where? What?
It's the Royal Central School of Speech and Drama.
Okay.
It's a master's degree.
Oh.
I know.
You've got a master's?
I do. In arts.
That trumps me then.
And then that's how I really started doing film, because before that it had been all theatre.
Yeah.
Everything that I knew was like theatre production.
But the skill sets, I remember being on a job probably 4 or 5 years ago when COVID had hit, and the first assistant director who runs the shop floor essentially,
Yeah.
he spoke to me one day and said that he had some friends because obviously the theatre completely shut down in COVID.
Yeah.
And whereas filming kind of found a way to keep going with all of the masks and all of that kind of business, theatre was just like completely off the books. So there was a whole bunch of theatre people who were all of a sudden had no job. And he came and spoke to me and said, I've got some friends, they're looking for work. Can you hire them? And I said, well, what do they do? And he said, well, they're all theatre people. And I was like, well, sure. So we brought a bunch of them over. And of course, all of those skills are transferable. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's basically the same thing.
It is.
There's just no cameras and all of the sort of techie stuff that comes with it. It's basically performance in sets and all of the rest
Problem
of it.
solving.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I think so, but then also film is kind of a world on its own as well.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I'm not saying they're exactly the same.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I think I could move to theatre and be able to blag it for long enough that people would
100%.
just think I'm blagging it anyway. But I would be able to pick it up relatively quickly because a lot of the skills are just like, they're the same but slightly different, Interesting.
So after that, what did you go on to from?
So then I came here, I did a year of my course while doing many things, and then I finished on 2019, my course.
Yeah.
And I went home for a little bit, and then 2020, I was like, this is going to be my year to like do everything.
You made it happen.
And it was not.
What happened?
But I spent all of COVID here, which was good in its way. And I got a graduate visa from my university. And then I started working with my university a lot, and I was editing a lot of their stuff. So I did a lot of shorts for my uni and for people that were doing all these kind of like little small projects. And I got into editing, and I got to like the post-production side of things. Like
So you can basically do everything.
a little bit of
Right,
everything.
yeah, thought
I
as
just
much.
tried to learn as much as I
Yeah.
can. My friends, it was funny because my friends would call me, because I volunteered into so many of the shorts. Then like people would just call me to like do random things.
Yeah.
And I remember a friend was doing a short, and he was like, "Oh, we need a second AC," and I was like, "I don't do camera. Like this is not my thing."
What's an
He
AC
was
do?
like,
Assistant camera.
assistant camera.
Yeah,
So you're
okay.
basically the person in the camera department who's in a short. You're like running around they call for lenses, and you kind of like bring them to the DP. You have all the memory sticks, and I was doing a little bit of DIT as well, which is like putting all of the
Digital
film
image
footage
technician?
into like the hard drives and making
Yeah.
sure that all of the files were protected. I did not know how to do any of that, and I did tell him, and he was like, "It's fine. The DP's really nice." He said that he'll like teach you, and I was just like learning how to roll cables and
I did a bit of
changing
that when I was
lenses.
first starting out. Was like doing it. I was a camera assistant on a documentary, and I was terrible at all of that stuff. But I kind of forced myself to learn how to do it. But that was all back when you shot stuff on tape.
Yeah,
Dare I say it out
even
loud.
worse.
Yeah. So you would have to sit up with everything. You couldn't just like click a button. You would have to just sit with it, like loading a video game in
Oh
the
my God.
80s, just to make sure nothing went wrong or, something. Yeah. But I think it's all useful stuff.
I think
to
it's
learn.
really useful. It was also useful that I was like, I don't want to be in the camera
Definitely
department.
not.
This is good, but
Yeah.
not for me.
Not for me.
Yeah.
It's good to be a yes person, isn't it? Just to say yes to all these different things, isn't it? And just
Totally.
learn and just, get as many strings to your bow as possible.
I
And
think so. And I think that the more skills that you learn, the broader is your understanding of how things are gonna go and what you can do to help other departments, what needs to happen, or you understand the lingo better, you
Totally,
understand what
yeah.
people need.
Yeah, the whole film language.
Yeah.
And the pressure, because I mean, there's such a huge amount of
Yes.
pressure on everybody. It's good to understand when those pressure points are in a normal working day, like when the camera department will be under more pressure than everybody else.
Yeah.
And when to speak to someone, when not to speak to somebody, and when to get out of the way or when to go and help, and all of that kind of stuff. I think you start to understand the machine, so you can act accordingly. Just you can help it slipstream through these problems.
100%. It
Yeah,
gives you like a sensitivity to be
Yeah,
like,
totally.
yeah.
Yeah.
So at this point, you still weren't completely focused on one thing. You were still saying,
trying
trying
to
everything.
discover. Oh, but in my first start in the art department was when I was finishing my course, that you got to do a short film, and it was like an independent project, and you got to be an actor plus something else.
Yeah.
And I was the designer of my short. I was the production designer of my short.
So you can production design as well.
Yes.
Right.
Everything.
Great.
No. But I had helped as an art assistant in a lot of shorts before, and I was like, I think that this is what I want to do. And then once I did that, I was like, oh, I really like this. Out of like all of the departments that I've kind of like tried around, this is the one that I kind of feel.
Who did you reach out to to make that bridge from education into
I was
professional
just
world? What was that moment like?
Oh, in that short, I was working as someone that had assisted in another one of the short films in the course, Andrew Phizacklea, who we both know. Yeah, our showrunner. Someone recommended him to me because I needed an assistant, and he was my assistant in that short.
Wow.
And we kind of like knew each other. And then in like 2020, he was doing something, and he called me for like a
I think that was
web
me.
series. And then
it was me.
Yeah, and then we were speaking on the phone.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Hey, the standby props of this TV show.
Yeah.
And we need some trainees. I know that it's the props department. I don't know if you're interested in doing that." And I was like, "Yes, I am. I'm really interested." And he was like, "Okay, you can send me your CV and I can send it over to the prop master." And that's how I met you.
Yeah. And that was a show. That's a show
Landscapers.
called Landscapers. Yeah, which is like God, I could talk about this for hours. In the height of COVID,
Yeah.
the second wave of COVID, I think I wasn't a prop master at that point before that job, so I was still a storeman working for a prop master called Ben Johnson on, I think, the third season of a show called Hannah, which is like a spy espionage thingy. It's like the Bourne Identity, but it's Jenny Bourne, not Jason. And a set decorator called me and said, "I want you to be my prop master." I said, "Oh, I don't really fancy it." And he was insistent that I do it. And then the second wave, we all signed up to do it. And then the second wave of COVID came, fully expecting it to all just get cancelled. And the production company said, no, we're going to do it. And we ended up shooting in a place called the Drum Sheds, which is in Enfield, which is basically like somewhere where they have big raves.
Yeah.
But they turned it into a
Massive.
makeshift, COVID-friendly film studio for like 4 months, where we all basically lived in a bubble, and it felt like you couldn't leave. And there were strange pathways, COVID pathways, where you had to like follow the green line, and you couldn't speak to anybody or touch anything. Yeah, it was just bananas. And we shot this 4-episode TV show, which is by the director was Will Sharp, and it's a true story about a husband and wife who kill the wife's mother and father and bury them in the back garden in Mansfield. Don't tell the authorities that they're dead, obviously, and then continue to claim their social service money and keep the house.
Right.
And basically, the mum and dad are in a hole in the back garden. But the female protagonist she's nuts. She's daydreaming all the time about. She loves old movies and Cary Grant and stuff like that. So it sort of trips in and out of real life fantasy, the Wild West, black and white noir movie. As a piece of production design, it won a BAFTA that year, and it's quite low budget comparatively speaking, and it was all made in the height of COVID, and the team on that was tiny, which is great proof of you don't need like 1,000 people to win something huge award, because I think the prop department, I was thinking about it last night, there was about 7 of us, and I think it was Andrew's first job as like a key standby. It was my first job as a prop master. The whole team didn't really know. Everyone had a kind of a rough idea what we were doing, and it was all in the height of COVID, and there wasn't much money to spend. I've got thousands of stories about it. It was an incredible piece of like what happens when you put a bunch of filmmakers in an old rave shed for 3 months and don't let them leave. And then what actually ends up happening is you create something that is the best thing in this country that year.
But I do remember when I went onto those sets that I was like, this is so magical. Like there was such a clear vision, and even though like,
well, Christina Casali was the designer, and
really...
but her team for that I think there was 4 of them. 4 people did that. Jack Short, who we're going to speak to in another episode, he was the buyer on that. The set decoration team, I think, was 4 people. There was 5. There was 6 or 7 in the prop department.
How many's on a big film now?
Well, 1,000 maybe, if you could count all VFX and everything in. So collectively, we were not. It was not a big unit. And if you haven't seen it, you should definitely watch it. It sort of flew under the radar a little bit. So it was like Sky Atlantic and Hulu, I think, were behind it. Sister Productions made it. But it is an incredible piece of production design on what I would call essentially a shoestring budget. Big scale, but sort of shrunk down into what big ideas can you have when you've only got this amount to spend on making them a reality. How creative can you be? How clever can you be with that money in order to create something that no one's ever seen before? And they really did do it. I mean, it's quite a piece of TV, I think.
It's incredible.
What did you go on to after that then? So that was your first...
That was my first
Your first big...
role.
Were you there for a few days, I remember, right?
I was there for a few... I was
on
there
the
for,
floor.
Oh, I was there for maybe a month or 2.
Yeah.
Or a month and a bit. I was there first dressing. Well, I arrived and you were like, this is going to be a bit of everything.
Yeah.
So it ended up
What
being
you were
a bit
used
of
to,
everything.
yeah.
Like as a trainee, I got to be a dresser. I helped in the stores, and I mostly did standby on that. Which is, as a dresser, I don't know if you explain everything. You've kind of...
We have a dresser is someone that would basically take all the props from... You mentioned a few roles there, but the dresser is essentially, what I've done a lot with you on.
Yeah.
In placing those props and creating the worlds which the production designer has envisioned, and then obviously the production buyers go out and buy, and the set dressers go and buy those bits, and then the dresser will come and help make that happen, basically.
Yeah, under the direction of normally the set decorator or an assistant set decorator who kind of, I guess the production designer kind of draws it all out, don't they? The set decorator then goes and finds all of these things or has them custom made and collates them, and then they essentially come in and dress the set. The designer then comes and says yes or no, approves, I suppose, approves, changes a few things, and then that's it.
And so that was my first really step into like a big world. And it's funny to hear you say that it was a low budget, because I know that it was a low budget at this point, but at that point it felt gigantic. Like for coming from shorts where you're like scrapping every little bit, I was like, this is the
I think
a
couple of years before that, I was a charge hand dresser on Cruella, the Disney movie, which was just insane. I spent like 4 months working on one set. They gave me like 4 months to dress the House of Baroness. It wasn't multi-sets. It was just me and my team doing one place but it was everything. It was like the stationery drawers, it took me like a day to do one drawer of one haberdashery cabinet. As long as I did one a day, over 4 months, I'd have enough to fill basically like a basketball stadium size set full of stuff, so that if Emma Stone all of a sudden decided that she wanted to go in the 7th drawer down on the right, it would be intricately filled with colour paletted, coded, a ribbon, all in the Pantone, you know, cascading through the colours.
Yeah.
That someone had sat there for like half a day and put it all in there just in case she went in that drawer.
I always think it's funny because you always see a tiny bit
Yeah.
of all of the work.
Sure, yeah.
You end up
No one ever
doing in
goes in that
department,
drawer.
but-
Yeah.
No one
You
ever
know
goes
it's
in
there.
that drawer.
But you know,
But I know
Yeah,
that if
that
they
is-
did go in that 7th drawer to the
it's
right,
gonna be beautiful.
You can sit
on cabinet 4, be like, that drawer was me.
Yes.
I did that drawer.
100%.
Yeah.
That's happened to me many times.
Yeah.
But then, so I did standby there, dressing there, a little bit of stores, and then it was a bit of a scrappy first year, I remember, of doing short stills. I was still helping out in my uni.
And not getting
I
paid
was-
for those shorts, I imagine.
I was getting paid
Yeah.
for some, very, very little money, and
Yeah.
a lot of things I did for free.
Yeah.
I went to the COVID department for like a TV show as well.
Okay.
And I was there for a week and I was like, I hate it. You had nothing to do. I was literally not doing anything because I was on set, but I only signed it. I was like, they asked me to come back again to that show. And I was like, I only will do it if I can be on set. Because they asked me for like a role in the office and I was like, absolutely not. I want to be on set. And they were like, okay. And then because of that, I got to be the assistant script supervisor,
Oh, wow.
like for 2 weeks at the end of that show because she had to leave. I was like, I really want to do it. And they let me just do it. And then after that, you had already called me to do People We Hate at the Wedding,
Yeah.
which was this like Amazon film.
Yeah.
And that was as a props trainee again.
Yeah.
And that was as a dressing trainee.
Dressing trainee. I remember you tying about 400 ribbons on wedding chairs.
Yes.
Yeah.
That no one saw.
Hey, listen. I've got some photographs of them.
I was so proud of myself. I was so methodical. But then I think that I ended up learning everything really from like
That
the
was a really good
bottom
example,
up.
that show, because I mean, the designer on that film was a lady called Jane Muskie.
who has done every single rom-com that
For
you
those
could
of you who don't know
possibly
her, she's a
imagine.
bit of a legend. So
Yeah.
she was the production designer on a film called Raising Arizona by the Coen brothers. She did Ghost with Patrick Swayze and Demi Moore. And if
She
you
do like Sleepless in Seattle.
she did Sleepless in Seattle, you just
Yeah.
look at her IMDb,
And it's like
and she was coming to the UK for the first time to shoot, and she didn't know any crew here. So the production company put out a job advert on Facebook, which I saw was when I was on holiday with my kids, and was like, oh, I'll just send them an email. And it was only my second job as a prop master.
Right.
And they said, oh, yeah. Jane, the designer, will like call you. So I had like a Zoom call with Jane when I was at a barbecue or something in Eastern Europe. And then this legendary production designer gave me the job like over the phone. And that was it. And of course, then we go, she's from America. So there's two different systems that sort of exist in the world of filming. There's the US version and then there's the European version. So Jane comes obviously from the US version, where a prop master is essentially a lead man. So a lead man is someone who's always like by her side through every moment of every day. A prop master in the sort of European UK style is generally slightly removed from all of that. And is running the department, so operations in terms of transport, logistics, crew, all of that kind of stuff, kind of like omnipresent over everything, making sure everything's ticking along. Whereas a lead man in the US is always with the designer. So I got to be with Jane Muskie for like 5 or 6 months,
Yeah.
which was like, I would have paid for that experience, because her let alone anything else, like her lunchtime stories about people she'd hung out with were worth their weight in gold. But then her ability to teach me how to see everything on the floor, when to panic, when to move, what to say, who to say it to. And at this point, I'm like 40 something. So you'd think I would probably know it or have some kind of inkling at that point. But it was like a brand new education from someone who's production designed some of the films from my childhood. I mean, and purely accidental, and like the universe like pinging up something and you going, oh, maybe I'll just try. Then you get the job and you're like, oh my God, this isn't normally what I do. And then you get like a gigantic bit of paid education with somebody where you're getting paid, your CV's getting a huge credit, but you're with somebody who's been doing it since before you were born and knows intricately what will look good on camera without having to see a monitor at all. She could just do the whole set by eye. You know, from 100 yards away, she'd be able to just go, you know, she'd almost like, in a really nice way, call me to her hip like a dog, like a really nice dog. She'd shout my name.
Yeah.
And you could hear her shouting my name.
From like the other
and then I'd just
side of
appear like a sort of waiter or bellboy. And then she'd just go, you know, like 14 chairs down on the second phase of chairs. There's something not quite right there, and you would sort of look, and then you go to the monitor and you go, I can't really see it. Then you'd walk down there and something would be obviously wrong that she could see from literally a country mile away. You couldn't see it on camera, but she would be able to literally place things with like needles in the grass and be able to see it read on camera. The film's not amazing. I don't think.
No.
It's a bit funky. It's like an American's view of how English people are funny.
Yeah.
But the time with her was amazing.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And also I think that when you're new and when you're starting out, you stress out about everything.
Yeah.
And she was like, she knew when to.
She was so chilled out.
Yeah, she was so chilled. She knew what was like when things were wrong and when things were not, but she was so like easy about it, and you can tell that she's so experienced because of that.
Totally.
So what do you do now, Andrea? What's your role now that you have focused on the most?
I went, so obviously, as I've said, I've done
a broad range.
Million things. But have worked with Ben and you a lot, and throughout the years, I worked mainly in the props department. Different roles, but within the props department. What I did for the last few years was a props coordinator.
Okay. What's that involve? Tell us what that involves.
Is mostly overseeing the logistics of the props department. You see when we need dailies. I talk a lot with
so dailies are like additional
people. So
labor.
you have your core crew in big productions. You have your core crew of people that are like contracted and that are there for the whole job.
Which, depending on the job size, can be like as low as 3 or 4, but it could be as much as 10, couldn't it, for a core crew?
And even
more.
Big, even
bigger,
big movies are like 60, 70,
But then your
80,
dailies budget could be as much, if not double again, to fill in all those spaces when you're doing multiple locations.
What films sometimes do is that they don't want to hire a lot of people, and then you have to call, if you have bigger sets, then the people that you are working with, you have to call additional people to help out.
So your core crew will be split across, let's say, 3 sets. If you've got a team of 6, 2 in each. And then that's bolstered by the dailies that then come in and help those people, so that you've always got someone there that's core that knows what's going on, and then the dailies come and help.
Because you've coordinated some big films, right? So Begonia, you coordinated. A Wanted Man or The Wanted Man, which is going to come out on Apple, which is a huge Apple TV show. Malice, which is an Amazon 8-episode drama.
Jack Whitehall.
Thriller, suspense. David Duchovny and Jack Whitehall. So that's pretty big. I mean, Begonia is massive.
Yeah.
And like a massive global movie. What was that like to coordinate?
It was like sweat, blood, and tears. I really liked it. I love the director from like even before Yorgos Lanthimos was like a huge inspiration for a lot of like short films like I had known so much of his history that when you were like, oh, we have this film and it's Yorgos Lanthimos, I was like, yes, I'll do anything.
I mean, I was the same.
Yeah.
Without really asking what was going to happen.
Yeah, no, nothing. I was like, I just want to be involved in whatever. And so I was really excited, but it was a lot of hard work.
I've never worked harder, I don't think.
No,
Same.
because it was, even though it was a big budget, it was also like
not massive
not
though. Let's be fair. His films aren't mega budget.
No, it was a big budget-ish, but they still wanted like these incredible things to happen, and we had to really pull it out of the bag. And also, sometimes the schedule moved quite a bit. And he wanted things to happen. And sometimes when you're working with bigger directors, they just want things to happen, and you have to make them happen. So I was a coordinator, but I also dressed, and I was also on set, and I also did like whatever was needed whenever like someone needed to like pull up a card. I think that we were there. We had like so many things go wrong.
I think we were just taking it in turns, having a nervous breakdown. I think that was the key thing, was not two people weren't allowed to have a nervous breakdown at the same time.
No. But I actually really loved working in that, because I learned, I think that it was like a learning through fire, because we were just taking...
That's the best way sometimes. I think, unfortunately, it's like being pulled to the point of breaking, and seeing whether you can sail through that moment where you're right in the middle of the eye of the storm and it goes peaceful for a moment, but you know you have to come out the storm the other side, so you've got to walk back into it. Because I mean, it is an incredible bit of cinema, but it was the most intense period of I think my working life. And I mean, I've been in some pretty intense moments, but that whole job was bonkers. We were based out of West London Film Studios, which is in Southall, which is a tiny little place. Used to be a Sky betting studio. The prop store was too small. There wasn't enough space. The house that they built, which was all built in the UK.
It was Henley, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was on a place called the Cordon Four estate, which is just outside Henley-on-Thames, where they dug a massive hole in the ground and sunk 6 shipping containers into the ground, and then built a house on top of it. Two-story American
style house.
At the top of a hill where there was no phone signal, and you could only get up there one way. So far up a hill that radios wouldn't work. From the top of the hill to the bottom of the hill,
wasn't it? I think.
So when you went up the hill, you couldn't speak to people at the bottom of the hill.
No.
I mean, it was like, not only was it very difficult as a piece of work,
it was logistically
it was so frustrating because you couldn't speak to anybody.
You were trying to call people. There was no signal. It was
where were you coordinating out of on that job then? Where were you based? Because we had the Henley, we had the studios.
I went everywhere.
So you
depending on.
So even as a coordinator, you're still mobile. You're still following around.
Yes and no. I think that usually as a coordinator, it's an office-based.
You're normally supposed to be at your desk.
It's an office-based position
with the storeman, working closely together.
Yeah, and
not just the storeman though. But I mean, I suppose in many ways you were doing. You were doing 2 jobs.
Yes, I was also assistant stores and coordinating.
Stores, okay.
Yeah, which means that I was helping Dale, but also checking in stuff, making sure that everything in the prop store was working well. Overseeing a little bit of the transport. Dale mainly does that, but still like making sure that everything was in place. And then I was also doing the coordinating part, which is speaking to the people that we were having, like the extra labor that we were getting, making sure that I was speaking to production. As a coordinator, you basically have to speak to everyone.
Yeah.
Okay.
You speak to suppliers. If you need anything, you oversee budgets.
So you have to have
and you
good
help
relationships
that.
with all these departments in
Yeah,
order for
and I
your
think that
department to work, for
Yeah.
your role to work well.
So if you need
You have to
anything,
have-
if costume need anything or they need anything from us, they would probably go through me, and
Yeah.
then I would kind of make sure that things are in the right places. That
So how do you
everyone's
stay on
getting
top
their
of
helps.
like, you know, your inbox coming in every day with emails from costume,
Being
from Dale,
really
from production?
organized.
So organisation is basically where your role succeeds in being super organised.
Yeah, and I think that also being very good at like communicating with people.
Yeah.
Okay.
And knowing everyone. I think that was my main thing, because I
Right.
knew if we had an issue with camera, with costume, with whoever, I knew
Someone in every
straight
department
away.
Yeah.
that you could go to.
that
It
I
ties in
could-
nicely with your background then, because you've done all that physically and now you're communicating via emails really.
It's
So
why you're so good at it.
you're having to so
Yeah.
you're having to sort of, you know, semi-talk their language and you
Yeah,
know,
and understand where they're coming from, and also make sure that they understand what we need from them.
yeah.
And it's speaking a lot with production or locations, which is like we need to communicate a lot with them, because we're usually, as the props department, you're usually the second department to go in a place after locations.
Yeah.
You're the first ones in overseeing everything, because you basically dress all of the sets before the shooting even begins. Like our work begins so much, like it's even before what you see on screen.
Yeah.
do you find you have to speak differently to these different departments because you've been in them? You have to kind of
It
an
yeah,
email
it
to one
There's a
department.
language, isn't there?
Yeah,
There's a language.
there is a
to every
language with
department.
each one. Yeah,
100%.
so you have to change. You know, this one's from costume. Okay, I'm going to reply to them.
Or
in-
accounts, or
Okay.
yeah, and then make sure that, I think that when you make sure that they have everything that they want and they're kind of on your good side, you can also ask for favors in return.
You can manipulate
so,
that and-
so I think that that's always a good thing, to have like good connections
Yeah.
with everyone.
Great.
Yeah,
And it's a heck of a film if you haven't seen it.
it's really good.
The house set build is really something quite phenomenal, and then where the lead character works was a gigantic set that had about 8 million computers in it, from what I remember, and we had to change about 4,000 floor tiles.
Even
Oh my god!
Yeah, I
it was
know.
incredible.
even where he works,
Yeah.
this factory.
He works in like a pill, essentially a pharmaceutical.
Yeah,
pharmaceutical
pharmaceutical,
packaging company.
which you see
yeah.
so little on the actual shop, but
Yeah.
we put like boxes that we had.
It's another haberdashery drawer, isn't it? Because I remember there was like 8 students came to fill pill bottles for 2
For
weeks.
2 weeks,
yeah, I
we
remember
had
that.
we had students like putting like labels and bits. Yeah,
Everyone has
just
to be
for
straight, and everyone cares about what they do. So
a little work
Yeah.
experience, and we put them all, and you see so little of it.
You
but-
see like 3 bottles.
but yeah, but it was worth it.
Totally.
So after Begonia and that experience of you know everything that came with it, what did you do after that?
As I worked in The Wanted Man for a little bit, and then
Doing coordinating again, or
doing coordinating again, and then I had a little transition. That was last year, and I had my first standby art director job with a designer that we previously worked with.
what does a standby art director do? Tell
so
us what that involves.
A standby art director is the person of the art department that is responsible of the art department on set while the shooting crew is in. So what happens before, even like on prep, is that you get to see what is going to happen in all of the sets, and you get the designer telling you what things are meant to be looking like, how things are going to change, how spaces are going to
It's a
change.
handover, isn't it? From
You have a big handover of what things are going to happen. You have to do a full breakdown of the script to know what action props are going to be used, how the sets are going to change, where you're going to be, what needs to be like continuity wise
Action
in the right
vehicles,
places.
graphics.
Yeah, you have to speak
Like,
to
it's
like
huge, that breakdown.
animals,
Yeah.
graphics.
There's a real underestimation of how much responsibility falls on the art department on any given shoot day.
Yes.
Because if all of those columns are full with something, it's a mega day.
Yeah. And you also have to speak to construction when you're in the art department, because the art department is like the ones that are leading really what they're doing. And then when you're the standby art director, you are basically with the shoot crew at all times, making sure that everything within the art department is going right. But you not only are there on the day, making sure that everything is happening continuity wise, making sure that the like action props are like handled well. You have the standby props there to help with that as well. But also you have to be looking in advance for like the entire week to know what's going to happen, to make sure that you have everything that you need for those weeks, so there's not a problem or delays. To be like, again, really good communication with every single person, because you're the ones that's gonna have to call construction if if you're in a set and walls needs moving, you're the ones that is making that call. Or if
you can see the similarity between the coordinator then and the standby.
I mean, it's the perfect role. I think it's the perfect role for you in your evolution to the very top, because I genuinely believe that I will be working for you no, I think it's going to happen in a few years, 5 or 10. I'm not really sure how many, but I will be answering to you, because I genuinely think you're on your way there, and doing it the right way, in my opinion, of like step by step, go through it, make sure you know that job, and then go, okay, what now? I want to learn something new. Okay, so maybe art director, maybe supervising art director, maybe designer's assistant. And then eventually the phone will ring and someone will go, it's time, Andrea.
It's time.
It's time.
You've made it.
So in all your
basically.
journey, in all these departments, are you collecting emails and numbers of people and, building a database?
Yes and no. I think that happens quite naturally, or at least it has
it's organic,
happened quite naturally to me. Because even on this one, I got the call from Patrick, who's a designer to do this film, which is Prima Facie, which is coming. And he just knows me and my work because of all the things that we've previously done. And obviously now I get to like know you both, but it's not like I'm making a list of like people to call.
She's making a list. I think she's making a list.
I'm making a list.
So
I am really making a list.
What advice would you give to somebody who's in a similar situation to you, that's starting out or looking to start out, come out of university and looking for that first introduction?
Well, for me, it's always been a really good thing to say yes to like as many things as you can, because you never know where you're gonna end up or who that person knows. I think that the industry is so big but so small at the same time. So every time I go into set now, there's at least 2 people that I know, and then it happens inevitably. So I think that it takes time, and like going in can be like meeting that first person is always a bit tricky. But once you're kind of in your network kind of like naturally expands.
Totally.
And I don't know. I think that it's a good thing. I think that a lot of people want to make you go like one path, or like you need to do this like one thing. And I think that especially in film, it's so broad and people get in like so many ways. So I think it's a good thing to be flexible, a little bit flexible.
I think you should.
The first few years, just finding your feet, maybe.
But I mean, I think you should do that constantly, forever. Obviously, everyone's got bills to pay and mouths to feed and stuff like that. But when there's an opportunity to learn something new, you should take that opportunity, because why would you not take that opportunity? Especially if you can get paid for it, or it doesn't take up much of your free time. Like this, for example, is great, because we were all looking for something to kind of to get into, something more to fulfill you, something to start a conversation about something that people might be interested in. So I really do think that you should branch out, do a short film when you've got some time off, try writing something.
And even if you hate it and you don't enjoy it at all, you'll take something out of that will
100%.
build a skill for another
100%
job.
you'll do that.
You might hate 99% of it, but there'll be one part of that job you think, actually, I've now learned how to talk to the elders, the adults, the production or whatever, and you just take that away and you go to the next job. And
or when you go, like you're acting back in the past, who's to say that won't come back?
Yeah.
When all of a sudden someone goes, why don't you have a go? And then you end up stepping out of all of the stress of remembering where the teacups up, how closely shaven Lee was, whether he had glasses on or not, and all of a sudden are back on the other side of the camera coping with a different type of pressure.
Yeah.
Where the pressure from being in this kind of environment, you're like, oh no, it should be easy, and then all of a sudden you go, oh God, actually it's not easy at all. It's really difficult.
Yeah.
Because you're so close to being on the other side of the curtain, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. I think that, I don't know, people get into film in so many different ways that you just have to find your own kind of way. But also the world is changing so much. Everything, we don't even know what's going to happen. And even now that I've been working in film in big projects, I still do short films. I still do all of these other little projects to fill my time. So I don't know.
Skills brushed up.
I think that it's important to remember that paths are not linear or as linear as we might think.
And I think we all probably started making films when we were teenagers.
Yeah.
And I think I did one last year and found it amazingly cathartic to go all the way back and then run around on a weekend with some of your friends like you were 13 making a film, because essentially that is probably what triggered all of it. And you should always try and touch base with that as regularly as you can, because that is essentially what
brought you here.
Basically, yeah.
Lovely.
Listen, we could talk for hours, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe you can come back another time.
Yeah.
Sometime in the future when you're a production designer.
Sure.
And you can show us some of your sets around your big movies.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Andrea, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I think you can, by the time this airs, I think you could probably follow us on Instagram. You can probably like and subscribe on YouTube, maybe.
Leave comments. Let us know what questions
you could
you'd like
probably
to ask.
Email us at info@theproproom.co.uk, ben@theproproom.co.uk, Lee, Andrew @theproproom.co.uk, and we can try and get this wagon a-rolling and see where it goes.
Thank you so much.
Thanks very much.
You.